Are you a prepper or homesteader looking to connect with like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own preparedness group? Already have a group? Well, look no further than PrepperNet. PrepperNet is dedicated to personal responsibility, individual freedoms, and being self-reliant. PrepperNet has monthly meetings in over 100 cities where you can meet and learn with like-minded people in your area. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Find us online at preppernet.com.
Survive, thrive, stay alive. It's time to get prepared with the Prepping Academy podcast.
Hey. This is the Prepping Academy, and we are live recording. And guess who is here? Excuse me, sir. You need to introduce your name. Introduce yourself.
I got so early.
5 minutes again.
Tenderfoot. Right
Tenderfoot is in the house. You've been gone for 2 weeks. I've had to interview these unbelievable, boring. No, they're not boring.
Yeah.
These authors. Franklin Horton. You weren't here with Franklin. You missed Angry American, and you missed.
I wasn't there for Franklin?
I think you were here for Franklin.
I think I was here for Franklin.
Were you here?
I don't know. One time I've been there for Franklin.
Yeah, we don't know when you've been here.
Yeah, I was here for Franklin.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay, you miss Angry American Chris Weatherman.
Yes.
And you miss Steve Bird.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was here for Franklin.
But you were here with Frank. And so, tonight, going with this theory of authors, we're going to have Boyd Craven on. And he's written a ton of books. A ton. And how many books have you read of his?
I have not read any.
Oh, my word. Are you? Maybe the prepping that show you need to be a part of is like prepping for school? I don't know. Maybe you saw prepping on the door and you go, that's me. Hey, welcome back.
Thank you.
Where you been?
I know. It's been 2 weeks.
People have been asking, have you buried Tenderfoot? And I'm like, not yet.
Build another co-host.
Oh, my gosh. Where you been? Let's go there. You don't have to give details. Like Washington, D.C.
Just vacation. I don't even remember where it was the week before.
Oh, it was a holiday.
Oh, yeah.
And I worked.
Yeah.
I worked 24/7, man.
That's right.
It was a holiday, so you took a 5-day weekend.
That's right.
So
both times, yes, vacation. I was traveling out, with family. So
with family.
Yeah. And then one thing, I was.
Yep.
I try not to get too much.
And so this week, you don't. You're kind of mysterious man, and I give everything.
Yeah.
So my bank account number, if you want to wire money, is.
That's right.
But this week is going to be interesting.
Yes.
Because we're traveling together with a lot of people.
That's right.
And we're kind of like in charge of different things for this weekend or for the week.
It's going to be.
And what do you do? I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen. I kid you not. He sits across the table 5 minutes before the show and he goes, "Hey, you going to be able to help me with my job this week?"
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, you can't do your own. I know you're shorthand.
I am.
Yeah, but
I'm being asked to do a lot. So.
But I just can't believe the first thing you said is, "Hey, can you help me?"
Yeah.
You dog.
Because I trust you and rely on you.
Oh, that is a problem.
It is.
But you're back. We got Boyd Craven coming on,
Awesome.
And then we're recording another show tonight.
Yep.
And it's another name out there, Nicole. Do you know how to pronounce her last name properly?
No.
You don't. See, I've struggled with it.
See, you.
Right up here. Look up here.
Yeah, I do not.
Yeah, I don't either. She was on the Alone Show.
Yeah, I butcher names.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm
we'll let
from
her.
North Carolina. You're from Western North Carolina. And
I ain't got much schooling. I went to a public school, man. I went to public school.
That's it. I did too.
But Boyd's going to be calling in here in a little bit. Boyd is he's read over 30 books from Michigan. He's part of the DD12. We'll get into all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess this is one of these interviews where I'll kind of lead and you follow again.
I just nod my head.
But I can make fun of you though, and that is the reason. That's the reason I like you as my co-host.
But I am the one who writes all the questions for you.
You lie. I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, and the cool thing that we're doing is the Conflicted Card Deck. They've produced 10 card decks, and they each card deck has exactly 52 cards, I guess, plus jokers. And it's a scenario-based game where they have questions. You read the questions around a group, and everyone has different answers. And there's a story with playing Conflicted in my group here in Charlotte. The guy gets a conflicted card, and it was stated, three kids come up to your retreat, and they want to come in. What do you do? And he immediately said, first guy, like the second meeting ever, you blow their heads off. It changed the tone of the meeting. So, I mean, it kind of tells you who you are as you answer these photos, or these questions. But the cool thing is, I am in the process of doing a conflicted card deck. They've asked me to put one together, and I am putting one together, and it's going to be on survival groups. You're getting a question. So I'm going to actually bring in a lot of people to come up with questions and give them credit on the card, which is pretty cool. So I'll get other people to do the work, and I'll just take credit for it. That's it. But we're hoping to release it. It's probably in August because they're finishing up their game board right now. But Deck 11 is going to be mine. That's going to be in Southern Prepper 1. And Ready Man just released theirs a few months back.
Who's this one?
That is no one's. The first 8 they just kind of did themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now they're getting the stars. I mean, people like.
Yeah.
Hey, so we're going to get started. We got Boyd Craven tonight, and I'm excited about this. Are you ready for this, Tenderfoot?
I am ready.
You've been ready and waiting for this all day, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay, let's see if he's online, see if we can make this work. I am technology challenged when it comes to this Blog Talk Radio. Boyd, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. First time we got this working. Hey, welcome to the Prepping Academy. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Doing good. So the story behind this, Boyd, is for the first 2 years I was doing this, I had a producer, and now I'm the producer, and that's not. I'm getting ready to fire myself. Hey, Boyd, but hey, welcome to the show on the Prepping Academy, man. I think I've met you a couple times. I know met you at Heritage Life Skills. Boyd has written over 30 books. Lives in Michigan, part of the DD12 as well. You know, we've had several of the authors of DD12 on here. He's written one of his books. Didn't one of your books or series get in the top 10 in a particular genre on Amazon or something?
I've hit number 1 a number of times. The most recent one was Blackout. Yeah. I pushed out Nora Roberts year 1.
Wow. See, I didn't even have my facts straight, but number 1, that's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing. Let me ask you this. Have you got higher rankings than, let's see, Angry American? Who else did we have on here? Franklin Horton.
I think Chris beats everyone, but I mean, Angry beats everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean,
he's the granddaddy.
For me, my personal best is hitting number 47 in the store in the world.
Sweet.
So that was only briefly for like 3.5 minutes while I could, keep bribing Amazon. But
was that the World Burn series?
Well, it was in that world, but yeah, it was Good Fences.
Okay. Awesome. Well, if you don't mind, kind of. Tell us about yourself a little bit, a little background, and we got a bunch of questions.
Sure.
Well, I do. Tenderfoot does not.
I've got questions. I do.
Okay.
Well, I'm a Michigan boy. I grew up right around Flint, Michigan. I was born in Flint and raised in the suburbs in Genesee County. Mm-hmm. With my grandpa's side coming from Alabama and my mom's side all moved to Texas. So as a kid, I was splitting my time between Michigan and Texas and hunting and fishing and doing everything I could. I was a Boy Scout for a long time, and, you know, I started putting together my own kits so I could do my own campouts and, you know, escape the house and do all kinds of fun stuff. And, you know, I've always written stories, and, you know, only since, I don't know, maybe 2011 have I been publishing them. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything work-wise in my life, from factory work to farming to, you know, retail back when I was a teenager.
Hey, let's take a quick break.
Are you a prepper or homesteader looking to connect with like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own preparedness group? Already have a group? Well, look no further than PrepperNet. PrepperNet is dedicated to personal responsibility, individual freedoms, and being self-reliant. PrepperNet has monthly meetings in over 100 cities where you can meet and learn with like-minded people in your area. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Find us online at preppernet.com.
So, would you consider yourself a prepper or survivalist, or what do you consider yourself?
I'm more of a prepping homesteader.
A prepping homesteader, okay. And I think that's the best solution right there, to be honest with you. Because if you can't grow food,
yeah, because I figure after the first year, when everyone's supplies run out, then what? And
right,
I want to be the guy that grows the food, that knows how to grow the food, that can hunt, can trap, can prepare, can put back, and, you know, can really store stuff for long term without technology.
Right. And so were you an author first, or were you a prepping homesteader first?
Well, I think it kind of went hand in hand. Growing up, my family was always, you know, I guess nowadays people would call it a hobby farm, even though it wasn't very much a hobby. It was kind of a lifestyle. You know, kind of a small, 5-8 acres to start with. We had, you know, a horse, a pony. We had animals. We grew our own veggies. You know, we canned foods. You know, I remember canning parties my mom and grandma would put up. But to go with the writing portion, I remember when my parents brought home the first computer, which was an XT. And I know that's going to date me a little bit, but, you know, the first thing I did was look for a word processing program, you know.
Right, yeah. And so did you read, was there a book that got you excited in this genre, that got you excited into writing? Or how did you actually then take that to start writing about?
Well, originally I was a Stephen King fan.
Okay.
And I will preface that with saying it was The Dark Tower. It was kind of the weird Western gunslinger stories. Mm-hmm. And when I realized they all tied in together, I read The Stand, and I realized exactly how big of a world he was writing. And that was my first, I think, really big taste into world-ending post-apocalyptic stories. And then from there, I mean, I read everything. I read everything from romance to space opera to post-apoc to dystopian to science fiction to, you know, paranormal romance. I mean, I read everything.
Well, we'll make sure we cut out the romance. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I haven't seen you write a romance.
Actually, I've got a few romance pen names, and you might have heard of them, but I don't claim any of them that you're going to find.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're not going to check man cards here. We're all... No, I'm kidding.
Sorry.
Someone's got to write them. Why not a man?
With the ladies, just saying.
That's right. Exactly. In the because one thing you brought up is the prepping and the homesteader, and I want people to understand that if you're just a prepper, you're just prolonging your death.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to be self-sufficient off your own land and work, you agree with that?
I do.
Because you'll run out of food at some point.
Right.
So, yeah. And so what kind of, since you like Stephen King, do you think you write kind of like Stephen King? Or how do you write? I remember you guys were up on stage at Heritage Life Skills, and some people said they would outline the entire book. Some others would say that they just sit down and just start writing. What's your writing style?
If I do make an outline, it's because I've got an idea that's going to span many, many books. But for the most part, I sit down and I just let the story come out. And when I can't type it or I'm stuck, I'll get my microphone out and I will dictate the story. And that'll help me kind of break through any kind of mental block I've got. So between those two, for the most part, if I've got an outline, my chapter notes might only be 1 or 2 sentences. I mean, they're very, very skinny.
Do you use real-world people in your books, like people that you know or characters?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Franklin Horton, Lisa. I've used Chris.
That is hilarious.
I mean, Franklin made me a serial killer, so I had to get him back, right?
Yeah.
That is so cool, this DD12 you guys have kind of this pack of 12 authors. Do you know about this?
Yeah, you talked about it before.
No, I was asking Tenor. Yeah. So, and you guys kind of cross-promote, you write each other in your books, and one day Franklin was saying maybe y'all will share some of the same characters. That would, be pretty cool.
Franklin and Steve have this idea, and I really love it. I hope to talk with them some more about it. But, yeah, it would be amazing. And, I mean, before DD12, we were kind of doing this, just kind of playing around back and forth, like, ha-ha, Boyd's a serial killer, ha-ha, Franklin's a priest.
Right.
How ironic is that? And we would go back and forth because the pool of authors in our genre is kind of small, and we're all friends anyway. So, we make it fun. And, when Franklin first did that, I had another friend who reads both of us say, hey, did you lose a bet to Franklin? I'm like, I don't think so. Why? And he goes, oh, you just read book 2 of this series. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And I read it, and I went, oh, Franklin.
Yeah. So I have a friend, and he knows a lot of the authors. His name's Chin. That's all we'll say his name is. And he's in several books. And I've been trying for years to get him killed out, and they won't do it. That's just, I'm like, but I've been trying to get him killed. And I think he's in Franklin's books. He's in someone else's book, too. I forgot who it was.
I just mentioned this year, so I haven't had a chance to fit him into a gruesome death yet.
Okay, good. Do that for me, and I'll pay you extra money. I went shooting with him a few weeks ago. He's a great guy. I love him.
Yeah, he is.
So, when was your first book written, and did you self-publish it, or did you go ahead and get a publishing company behind you, or how was that released?
Well, I've got a little bit of a tragic story. I've always written. I never published for a long time, and we were foster parents.
Okay.
And I would say over about 10 or 12 years, we've fostered, and we only took in teens, troubled teens, 16, 14, 15, 16 to 18, that age group.
Okay.
And one of them was living with us and ran across one of my old trunks. And she opened it up and it had all my old notebooks where I was, either handwriting stories or I'd typed up stuff and threw them in a folder. And she said, you ought to publish these. And I said, okay. And she came home from school one day and she had, her back was really sore and she was having a hard time walking. So we took her to the doctor and they found a tumor. Oh. And it ended up being cancer. And when, they gave us the news, she just looked at me and said, I'm not going to get to reach all my dreams. I want you to publish someday. So I finished up one of the stories me and her had talked about, and I was able to read it to her before it was too late. And that kind of kicked me in the butt to go from it being a hobby into trying to do it full time, I guess. And I mean, my first story wasn't great, but I got it done, and I got to read it to her, you know?
Right. And what book was that? Was that one that what was the book that you read to her?
That was Dead at Last. It was a zombie story. Zombies and vampires. Which was the kind of story she was wanting to read.
Awesome. That is awesome.
And it's been a while now, so I mean, it still hurts, but I can talk about it. 2 or 3 years ago, no way. I would have lied. I would have told you a different story.
Oh wow. So, is your wife sold? Was she a part of this this craze or this lifestyle, or is she kind of like a lot of wives, just kind of put up with us?
She was at first. I mean, she was a little skeptical because my wife is, although she kind of grew up in the country, she was more sophisticated than I was. So, but I would say, we've had a couple of things happen, like loss of job and the food storage came in. One time we had our well pump go out. We needed to get a new well in, and having water storage, made a big difference. And now she's all on board. When I talked about buying an old motorhome that was EMP proof, and I could work on it because it's got a 454 with 2 Holly double pumpers. She's like, you know how much the Kelly Blue Buck is just on that motor? Buy the motorhome. I'm like, really? She kind of went from a little bit skeptical to jumping in with both feet.
Both feet. And how about And your foster kids? Do you kind of invite them into this world of yours and train them and teach them a few things as well?
We're not doing it right now anymore, but when we were, we did, yeah.
Okay.
We had, so I've got 3 sons now, and when Kelly was about to give birth to the 3rd son, the last group of kids we had ended up going, they had a family member that came forward, and they were able to bring them back, and we just said, now's a good time to take a break, so it's been a couple of years since we've had extras in the house.
Because it just brings a father joy when their kids are interested in it, and you teach them, and you go out and build fire, and all this kind of stuff, and so awesome.
Well, some of the kids we've had that have grown and become adults and gotten married and had kids of their own, they still all come back, and we still do all that stuff.
Wow.
So it's a lot of fun.
That is fun. That is cool.
I like to fish, and I don't like to put the worms on because I like to fish. So that makes the kids learn that the very first thing they want to do when they come camping with Grandpa.
Wow. Yeah, my son's been asking me to fish. He just got back from college, and I've yet to go with him. He caught one huge one the other day. But let me ask you this: what's your favorite author? Besides
what
yourself.
Genre? Oh no, I don't like my own work.
Oh, you don't? That's kind of like me. I never listen to my own podcast. I just cannot listen to my voice. But anyway. Would it be Stephen King or?
Between Stephen King or like Jim Butcher, it kind of jumps between the two. I'm really into the Dresden Files lately. Kind of an urban fantasy flavor.
Wow. How about you? Do you have a question for Boyd?
Oh, I do have a question.
I'm just looking at you.
Favorite author here.
No, we're not interviewing you, Tenderfoot. We've already done that. That got 3 listens.
Yes. Nice. Love how he doesn't even bring me up and everything now. He just takes me down. No. But I'm looking at some of your stuff online, and I see that you started co-writing with your father again, and I just was kind of curious about that because it sounds like the prepping's kind of a family affair thing, and also the writing.
Yeah, me and my dad have written a few books together already. The series that we've done that's published right now is the Anonymous Justice series.
Yep.
And we kind of thought, wouldn't it be fun to take the far political right and the far political left and put it together and make a comedy out of it? And things got really real and really dark. Things happened in real life, like we wrote in the books. We wrote a Christmas shooting at a church, And then the San Bernardino shooting happened, which was a Christmas party at work. It was real similar. And then we, wrote different reactions around around the country and what people were doing and saying. And, every time we would come out with a different story, stuff would keep happening. And, the farther we kept pushing the extremes on either side of the political spectrum, the more they became true in real life. And after a little bit, we just had to say, this is getting too dark. Let's take a break because we don't want this to happen in real life.
Right.
Wow.
It's kind of like one. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, that's kind of becoming a Stephen King book in itself. The whole thing.
It was scary enough.
Yeah.
So we're going to pick that back up, but there's another series we're doing that's talking about basically messing around with genetics of plants and people. And in the process of saving the world, you doom it.
Oh. Wow. Interesting. But I understand your point because one of the authors we had on, Wim Fortune, he wrote a book called Day of Wrath. And you're like, I pray this never happens. That's the worst book ever I read. I mean, it was a good book, but I just hated the storyline.
Yeah.
Have you read that?
No, I haven't read that one.
I forget.
You shouldn't even ask me.
Tenderfoot I don't think he can read. I'm serious. I've read like 500 books in the last 2 years. He's read like one.
I can send him some audiobooks.
Yes, and that's what he tells me, these audiobooks. But see, because of my background, I am into other type of reading.
He does a lot of church plants, and so he does a lot of different things. But anyway, speaking of audiobooks, though, I was so fortunate at the Heritage Life Skills. I met the actual gentleman that reads your books, and
Kevin Pierce.
Kevin Pierce, and he is awesome. And I think he was like a kid in a candy store that day.
Oh, I loved having him there. It was so amazing to finally meet him.
Yeah, because you've never met him before, and he's been reading your books?
Right. No, I never had. I mean, we would talk and everything else, but face-to-face, no. That was the first time. Same time you met him.
And it sounded like that was one of the first times he's been out in public and got that much attention, too, because he was like a kid in the candy store. People were coming up, but it was pretty cool because DD12, a lot of the books in that group are all read by the one guy, Kevin Pierce.
Yeah.
And you get to meet him. He looks different than what I imagined, but it was that's the reason I always tell people when we interview an author, you need to go to these shows if they're local because the authors are there. They sign books, they talk to you, you ask them questions, you meet characters in the book. Like I met Little Bit, which is Chris Weather, Angry's daughter, and she's in the big character in the book. It's really cool, and I bet you guys enjoy doing that as well, right? And you sell books.
Yeah, well, and like Lisa is Lisa, who's married to Duncan in my World Burn series. She's kind of the hippie homesteading girl.
I did not know that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I finished that series out before she finally read it because she's been writing in the genre and she doesn't want to accidentally snag someone else's idea. So she's like, I'm just not going to read this. And then I told her about it after the fact. And she's kind of, darn it, Boyd. It was a little more colorful, but I mean, we're on the air.
Well, there's only so many ways you can end the world. EMP, financial collapse. I mean, there's many books written about it. But you just released a book just almost a few weeks ago, correct?
Blackout came out on February 12th. Since then, there's two more. There's a short novel and a novel I finished that are in editing. And then I've got one I wrote last year for Permuted Press that's going to publish this month also.
So Inside the Fire, I was just looking at the date, and it said June 26, 2018. Is that when it came out on audio or something? Or
that's the one I wrote last year for Permuted.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And funny enough, it's about North Korea and Iran and a financial collapse.
Wow, that's kind of interesting.
I know.
Interesting. Yeah, we got old Trump's over there right now. Go ahead, Tenderfoot's got a thought. I gotta let him have it if he has a thought. Go ahead, Tenderfoot.
Look at it, just like. But what I find interesting, though, because we have interviewed quite a few authors, this is not the only subject that you write on.
Right.
So you've got some other stuff. Is that correct? Like, kind of just breaking up in different genres. Okay. So that's cool. How long have you been doing that?
Well, post-apocalyptic is probably it's my most lucrative genre, and it's the one I love to write the most. But I've probably got 60 romance titles under pen names, and I think I've got 88 or 89 published titles right now. But I think I've only got like 30 something under Boyd. But if you look up D.L. Craven, you'll find one of my tamer romances. So.
So is this has to be a full-time gig for you?
Oh yeah, every day.
Every day.
Get up at 5:30, end at 4:30.
And all you do is write.
Well, there's a lot of Facebook and stirring the pot but yeah, I mean, this is what I do for a living. Wow.
And because I'm looking at your photo right now, Boyd, and I'll be honest with you, you look bad. I mean, you look like your photo, you look like you're angry and you could tear some people apart, and here you are writing romance novels. What the heck is going on with that?
I know. What a perfect cover, right?
I'm telling you. You look at him with his arms crossed.
Well, I got to preface it with saying I'm only like 5'7", so standing next to you or Hogan or Kevin Pierce, I'm kind of tiny.
But you look bad. So that's just so interesting. Now that I know you write romance novels with your I mean, you look like you're an ex-Marine that could just rip someone's head off. And so now everyone's gonna go look at your photo.
Yeah, my son took that for me after I was out there zeroing in my crossbow.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so I was a little bit sun in the eyes and exhausted. And he's like, "Hey, Dad, smile." Click.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Thanks." And I looked at that and I went, "Hey, that'll be perfect."
That'd be perfect. So, what of all the books you've written, which one's your favorite?
Oh, wow. I would say probably One Man's Opus or First Sight or Blackout.
Or Blackout? And what was the other one?
Yep. First Sight, One Man's Opus, or Blackout.
Okay, gotcha. I have not read either one of them. I apologize. I asked that. I even asked that to William Fortune, thinking it was going to be one of the books that I've heard. You know, he's written a ton of books as well, but he said Elevator to the Sky or something, and I'm like, what? He really wrote a book about the government building an elevator to outer space, and that's his favorite. And that's his favorite book. Yeah. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I mean, it's got to be one second answer.
Yeah.
Oh, so in your free time, I mean, I know you write a lot. What do you do? What's Boyd like outside the world of writing and going to shows and things like that?
I like to go and sit on the shoreline and fish for bluegills, which I think down south you guys call them bream, right?
Yeah, right. Well, both. Yeah, the same. I call them bluegills.
Bluegills, yeah.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say I like to fish for them. I like to go out in the kayak or the canoe and just kind of drift along, and there's no motor. I can have the cooler of beer. Sitting by the campfire, doing some barbecue, doing some smoking, taking my kids for long walks. They're not quite big enough to do some of the more fun hikes, but they're little. With my oldest graduating, my next two younger are 8 and 2, so 8-year-old's going to be working on some of the stuff with me this year, according to him. We'll see. He's up for some of the hikes.
Are you coming to North?
Are
you coming to North Carolina? The thing that Heritage Life, Carolina Carolina Readiness is going to do. And I think DD12 or part of them are coming back for that. Are you coming back for that?
Well, there's something next weekend, and then there's something in July.
Yeah, it's in July. It's the one I'm talking about.
Okay. The one in July, I don't have any plans, but it might be doubtful because I'm supposed to be in northern Michigan. So for a drive like that, it would be, I think it's 12.5 one way from where I live now, and that would add another 5. So, yeah, and I'm not 100% for sure. I told Lisa maybe.
So DD12, Carolina Readiness is having another like a day of teaching. I heard the MC that day is gorgeous and really smart.
Okay.
That's me. Sorry, I'm kidding, Boyd. She asked me to MC the event that I don't even know what it's called yet, but I know we've been talking about it.
I thought you were going to say it was Logan or something because he sure is pretty. Sorry. You're listening, L. Douglas Hogan. I kid.
The only time he talks big about himself, he always uses the word gorgeous. I'm like, he'll pick on his voice, everything else. He puts himself down, but man, he thinks he's gorgeous.
No, I do not. I do not. No, absolutely not. But and so in your books and in your belief, what do you feel is coming down that what's your SATF event that you're most concerned about? And have you revealed
that? No matter
that?
What happens, there's going to be no power. And most people that live in the USA don't know how to deal with that.
Ooh.
And that's my biggest concern, life without power. And I'm not so much worried about myself, but everyone else. If you look at the sampling on the EMP Commission, I think they were saying 9 out of 10 people die in the first 3 months. So, I mean, life without power, no matter what happens, whether it's economic collapse, civil unrest, if the worst happens, we're going to lose power. And then after that, it's a quick fall. So for me, no matter how you get there, that's what you have to overcome, which is why I've always wanted to be the food guy. I always want to be the guy that knows how to grow the food after the beans, bullets, Band-Aids run out.
Oh, they're going to run out? Crap! I didn't know that.
Someday.
So, have you, when you grow your food, do you practice with heirloom seeds?
I do, and I also practice with hybrids too, and with GMOs, because when you're hungry, I don't care if I have to save a seed or not. If I'm going to live through this year, I'd rather be able to practice both than make a combination of whatever it takes to survive. Just like I'm also the guy that will have Roundup and Miracle Grow in my stash too, because, I love the idea of growing organic and going all heirloom, but realistically, it's the hardest way to go, even though I worked on an organic farm for a long, long time. And I know organic practices like the back of my hand, but when my kids are starving and crying because their bellies are empty and they're starting to get that bloated look, I'd rather not ever have to get to that point.
We are absolutely on the same page there.
Yeah.
Because
everyone that's going to kill me over that, I just want to preface that with saying, you do what you have to do.
You do.
Right. When your life is on the line, when you're growing food, you want it to be the easiest food that you can possibly produce, and that is not heirloom seeds, period.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's fertilizer and modified seeds. It just is.
And you're going to find a lot.
And I mean, for a long-term solution, that'll get you over year 2, year 3, year 4. But eventually you're going to have to go back to heirloom unless you're starting to hybridize your own seed, which you can do, but you need a lot of land to do that. You need things stabilized to do that. You need to be able to get over that initial hump, the initial collapse and the turmoil. You need life to go somewhat back to normal.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and you're right. We're going to have the lady Nicole on from the Lone Show, and I guarantee you she's going to disagree with us on that.
Yeah.
Well, she can, but I mean, I've grown up dirt poor. I know what it takes to fill my belly. So
yeah,
it's
and it is true.
At least for me.
Yep. And so, how many authors? Because you know this more than I, but how many authors are full time at this? I know Franklin's not. Is Chris Weatherman full time at this?
Yes.
There are not many out there, for sure.
In our group, it's Chris, me, Lisa, G. Michael Hoff. Let's see, Steve and Franklin are still full time, although they could go, or they still have another job, but they could be full time.
Would you rather people buy the books or the audios? Because I listen to a lot of audios. The only time I read the books is when the authors give them to me, which I appreciate that. But a lot of times I got the Audible thing, and I got 2 Audible accounts, and I just crank them out and listen to them. And I'm a big fan of Mark Goodwin as well, and he was using your same Kevin Pierce. And then his last book, it had a female reading it, and it really freaked me out. But so has Kevin Kevin read your book, almost all your books from the beginning?
All of my post-K-Pop books.
How about your romantic? Because he reads romance novels as well.
I haven't. I've got another narrator for different genres.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
So Tenderfoot has a light bulb above his head.
I didn't want to interrupt him.
Go ahead, Tenderfoot.
I'm looking at these books and stuff, and like some of the ones that even Mr. Forrest has not read here.
No, whoa, which one's that? Okay, go ahead.
You didn't read First Sight.
Okay, of course I haven't read that yet.
But I'm just looking at it, and I just think it's interesting about just how you've got like the sci-fi and the urban fantasy and everything. Yeah, explain how, because you don't really see that. Some of these guys, they stay real to life kind of situations, but you kind of push the boundaries.
Well, I get bored and depressed killing everyone all the time, so I get a mix up. I mean, I can only kill 90% of the world and kill off, who people think are going to be the main character's husband with a tragic last-minute parting shot that blows his heart out so many times. So
it gets depressing.
I do too many George R. Martins on people. I'm going to get lynched myself. So every once in a while, when I need an uplifting story, I'll write something like First Sight or Second Sight. Those are my, they're kind of funny, they're kind of quirky, and it still is in the prepping family, but it's more of a, there's magic in the world, and in my case, my guy doesn't have very much of it, so he has to rely on mortal means, which is prepping and, being more ruthless than anyone else.
Gotcha. That's an interesting take on it. Well, what about the Awakened Control? Because you kind of got that one classified into the science fiction.
Yeah, that's purely science fiction and dystopian. That's like, Deadpool, Mad Max, Starship Troopers, and everyone else had a love baby. And, I'm thinking Courtney Love. That might be too dark. But it's kind of funny. It's kind of a future dystopian. And if you imagine nanotechnology and a supercomputer running all the nanites, that's what I did to my character in that story. It takes place about 1,800 years after a nuclear war that pretty much knocks out most of the Earth. And in it, only, in America at least, Native Americans and southwestern reservations were mainly left untouched. The Australians, funnily enough, are the only continent to never really get nuked, so they were kind of the ones going around on ships trying to help rebuild everything. And so there's a lot of mixed culture and, stuff like that in that story, but that was kind of a funny, quirky science fiction. And I'm actually writing another one in that world, too.
Should you write multiple books at one time, or do you stick with one
Yes.
and finish it? Yes.
I try to write one and finish, but I usually end up having 3 or 4 going at once.
Wow.
Any of yours up for possibly a movie?
No, but The World Burns, I kind of wrote that with the idea to pitch to Netflix.
Aha. Smart man.
Oh,
Yep. The Hollywood
11
Times coming down
episodes.
and Netflix going up.
Well, there's 11 episodes, and there's, I think, 6 full-length novels that take place in the same world within the same timeline, and there's Easter eggs that tie back and forth into it. So if they wanted to make a TV series out of it, there's probably enough for 7 seasons.
Dang. Have you had a chance to get this to them, or just not?
No, I had a friend that was going to help me out with converting stuff into scripts because they have a certain way they want it submitted. And friend had some issues come up, and so I've kind of put that on the back burner for now.
Gotcha.
But I still want to do it someday.
Gotcha. Well, I don't see any light bulbs on your head over there.
I just asked a few questions. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh, my job is just to give Tenderfoot a hard time.
It really is.
And everyone has to suffer through that, I guess. I apologize. Are you coming to Prepper Camp this year?
I'm actually going to be in Nink this year when Prepper Camp's happening. Otherwise, I would.
Oh, you and Franklin Horton
Nink
both
is
are missing it.
Yep. And we're going to be at the same conference.
Oh, okay. That makes sense now.
It's a writers' conference. It's got classes and vendors. Like we'll get to talk with Amazon vendors and stuff like that. But it's for a writer, it's kind of one of those things. For me personally, I don't miss. But
and they moved Prepper Camp, and that was probably the big problem as well, because it usually was earlier in the month, and now they've made it to the last weekend of the month. So.
Yeah.
Darn. Yep. Well, that's a shame. So what's next for Boyd? What do you got? I know you're just continually writing books, but is that what you see in the next year? Just keep pumping out books, or how about writing scripts? Is it a different skill to write a script for the movie series for Netflix?
Well, it looks completely different than what I'm doing to me. And I'm self-taught as far as writing books goes. So, I don't have any formal training. I didn't go to college for this. It just kind of worked out for me, and I've learned as I've gone. And script writing looks entirely different. Converting a novel into something like that looks...
Gotcha.
I'm not sure I have the right skill set to do that.
Well, we all know Michigan doesn't have any colleges that are. Sorry, I don't like Michigan.
Except for the
Michigan
Wolverines and U of M.
No. Tenderfoot's just looking at me, shaking his head, like, "Did you really go there?" So I'm a Tar Heel fan, so I always got to slam on every other college in the world. That's just the way it is.
And I am not.
I hear you.
And so your next book is going to so if someone like a new person, we got Tenderfoot right across the road.
Yeah, we go.
If he's going to start reading your books, which would you, because you've got so many, him being a prepper wannabe, a homesteader, he is a homesteader.
I am.
You're a prepper homesteader, just like Boyd. Yeah.
I've killed off every one of my rabbits. I've got to work on that.
Have you lost your rabbits?
I've lost my rabbit.
Dude, I'm a rabbit expert.
I know.
Why haven't you asked me questions?
I should.
Yeah, I charge a consulting fee, by the way.
I'm going to go back into it later. I got to get through this year.
But if Tenderfoot wanted to start reading your books, where would he start?
I would start off with The World Burns It's a quick, short read, and there's 11 episodes. And, you know, I run that one. I run a free promotion on the first book often. But I've got that whole series priced at 99 cents. And, you know, they're 100 to 150 pages. They're quick reads. And I kind of try to do fun things like tie in quirky ideas on making everyday items into something else. You know, I kind of MacGyver stuff. I like stuff that goes boom, so I kind of get into some of that stuff a little bit without quite giving away the entire recipe. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the books that tie in, you know, if you start reading some of the other books, you'll kind of see where, like, oh, hey, I know this character because they're talked about in here. And so for someone just starting off on my books, I would maybe start there. If you like some of the more darker, grittier stuff, I would start on the Devil Dog trilogy.
Devil Dog
if you like
trilogy.
the more happier, you like the happier stuff, maybe One Man's Opus or Blackout.
That's kind of tenderfoot. He likes unicorns. Unicorns. Do you have any of them in your books? He really likes ponies.
And I do. My daughter does, so I do too.
Okay, this makes me so mad though. The World Burns. I'm looking at your book. I can get it on Kindle for 99 cents, but if I use an audio credit, that's a lot of. I mean, I'm gonna have to buy the Kindle version then and actually read it.
Yeah,
I could do that this week. I'm gonna have some free time this week.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all 11 of the World Burns series, now that it's done, into one audiobook, so it will only be one credit. Because what we found out when audio was brand new was shorter books, audiobooks, don't sell as well because of the credit-based system. I mean, I was new at it, and I didn't know any better. So we didn't do it. We didn't do more than the World Burns, but I've talked with Kevin, and putting together all 11 should get us about 350 or 400,000 words divided by 9,000 words an hour. So, I mean, it's going to be a pretty decently hefty book. And it's going to have all these novels that tie into it that are already in audio.
Great.
Wow.
So, is there one better for the author than the other? Like if someone buys your audiobook, or is that more profitable versus the Kindle versus paperback? I'm sure paperback is probably more. I mean, but that requires more to make.
Honestly, I probably make as much across the platforms, ebook, audiobook, or paperback. It's all between, $1.50, $2, depending on how things turn out. The 99-cent books, I think I make 35 cents minus delivery fees for the ebooks. You know what I mean? So, and for me, I keep some of those priced low deliberately because, number one, they're a loss leader. Number two, I want more people reading stuff because the more people that think about these things, the more that are prepared, are going to be less people that are knocking on the door when, they're hungry and times are bad. Because maybe they thought about this and they started preparing.
Yeah. So there's a heart inside there there's a heart in there that you really want people to get educated and do something about it as well. Sounds like.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of different. There's highlighted in some of the books, but there's food all around that people don't even consider. So. One of the things I was researching for my Devil Dog books was, my character starts off in Chicago after the EMP. And there's no more trains or trucks or anything coming, and no one has food, no one has clean water. What do you eat? You know what I mean?
Right.
And let's make it worse. He's got half a dozen kids he's taking care of.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, I start challenging people to think about things like that.
Yeah, you would. That would make a great conflicted card. It would. It would. Hey, you be interested in being on a conflicted card? I'm doing a deck right now. I'll contact you later, but I know Franklin's going to several of the authors, so I will contact you on that. This could be great. A whole conflicted deck, and I didn't have to come up with a single question.
And Boyd, with getting into writing, and I know we talked a little bit, but it seems like a lot of the authors we've had on, it seemed to have helped when Amazon came around, and you were just able to jump on and be able to do that. You could skip the whole middleman and go right into making these books. So is that what happened with you, or what was your story getting into it?
That's when I started trying to publish for money. I mean, I kind of played around on the forums a little bit. I was on the survivalist boards and Frugal Squirrels and stuff. So,
Yep.
If you remember who those are, I was the guy that wrote zombie stuff back then.
Yep.
Yep, I was the guy that was writing the zombie stories, the serials.
Well, we're coming to the end now. Tell people how to get up with you, how to get your books, and maybe if you're going to be at any shows here in the near future. Just kind of tell us how people can buy your books and get educated.
Well, you can find me on Amazon for most of my stuff. For signed copies, you can go to my website at boydcraven.com, and it's got my contact info there if people want to email me and cuss me out and tell me how bad I suck. So I always love that kind of stuff. It's very awesome.
Now, are you on the DD12 site as well?
All the time.
The Facebook. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Where the authors, direct link to the people reading their books. I do like that a lot. Hey, and so Amazon, and also we'll have a link in the description of this podcast when it goes out. How to get it'll take you right straight to Boyd's books on Amazon. Hey, support these guys. Read their books. You learn so much, even though it's a book that's make believe. They put real things in there and real scenarios that you have to think through, and you learn a lot. And that's why I like reading some of these books. Hey, Boyd, thanks so much for being on. And you can tell Franklin you did way better than he did, and Chris Weatherman did.
I'll have to pick on him.
Okay, man. We appreciate you being on the show, and you have a great evening. Okay.
You too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Bye. So that was Boyd. I mean, guys, all these books, and Tenderfoot has yet to read one of them. No, you have read some of them.
Yes.
But he doesn't look like an author, does he?
No, it's this is one of the things I do, like interviewing these guys. And I do really want to read like all of these. Like
I'm sorry, I give you so much.
You can't binge read like you can watch, like you can do binge watching. I mean, I can't.
Okay.
I mean,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I watched the 24 season 1 in one weekend. I did that once.
I guess I could do the audiobooks. I could just binge on audiobooks. And I do. Force has gotten me into that. I've always been the guy, like, I got to have the hard copy or whatever, or get it on my iPad. I started trying to move to that, but it's been great. It's been helpful.
So I got to tell you, I just want to encourage you.
Yes.
In the last 2 weeks, I've read 4 books.
Nice.
2 of them physical hard copies, and 2 of them I listened to.
There you go.
And you think, well, where do you find all this time? As you know, I drive a lot.
Yeah.
I do drive. I could get in the car and be in the car 6 hours in a day. So I do drive a lot. And then at nighttime, as I'm just chilling out, the family's gone to bed, I'll put an audiobook or get a book in my hand.
Yeah.
I've noticed that my readers are in the magnification they're going up and up the later I get.
Yeah.
So,
but I've got a younger family, so free time, I guess.
Oh my word! You gonna use
am I
that
ever gonna
excuse?
have that? I don't know.
Don't they go to bed at 8 though?
No, unfortunately not.
See, that's the problem.
Let's not even talk about that right now.
They don't. We used to beat. No, we didn't. But our kids would go to bed early.
Yeah.
So, hey, any last thoughts before I kill you? I don't know why I said it like that. You kind of looked at me like, that's a weird way to say it.
I know. No, man, it's good stuff. I'm excited about just continuing this and getting these guys in here. It's been really good to have these authors in, and we're even getting some other people.
Yes,
Nicole
from Malone is going to be on our next podcast.
Great.
Released right after this, matter of fact. It's like double Mondays, Tuesdays.
Woo-hoo.
Double Tuesdays. So,
Taco Tuesday, double.
Guys, we really appreciate you guys listening.
And it's Monday.
It's Monday. But it'll be released tomorrow. Yeah, double release Tuesday. It's a new thing I just came up with. Okay, guys. PreppingAcademy.com. PreppingAcademy.com. Go and visit us there. Sign up for a mailing list. And we will see you
Thanks
guys
for
later.
listening to the Prepping Academy podcast. Preppers Unite at www.preppingacademy.com.
Has your data been hacked? Do you feel uneasy about the vulnerability of your personal information online? Were you involved in the Target, LinkedIn, or Microsoft data leaks? Don't know? If not, then pay attention. Join Forrest Garvin from PrepperNet for a free webinar on privacy and security. Gain insights into safe internet browsing, VPNs, crafting online aliases, secure emails, detecting if your data has been hacked, and managing passwords. Secure your spot today for this webinar on privacy and security. It's free. This webinar delves into comprehensive strategies for bolstering your online privacy. We've got you covered, from fortifying your passwords to shielding your financial information and mastering state-of-the-art encryption techniques. We're offering 2 convenient dates to suit your schedule. Reserve your spot now at preppernet.com/privacy. Don't let cyber threats erode your peace of mind any longer. Take the first step toward a safer, more secure online experience by joining us for our free webinar. Remember, knowledge is power when it comes to safeguarding your privacy. Sign up now at preppernet.com/privacy. We'll see you there.